Hello, and welcome once again to Hoosier History, Legends, and Heroes. In this video, I will be talking about another Indiana legend. I made one last year about the Crossley Monster in Jennings County. If you haven't watched the video about the Crossley Monster, you may want to go into my past videos and give it a watch. The Crossley Monster is located more in southern Indiana. This time we are going to northern Indiana to learn about the legend of a beast. Have you ever heard of the Beast of Busco? I must admit that I had not heard of the beast until a few years ago. So let me introduce you to the story of the Beast of Busco. The first sighting happened in Whitley County in northern Indiana. In 1898, farmer Oscar Fulk saw a giant turtle living in his 7-acre lake on his farm near Churubuso, which is about 15 miles northwest of Fort Wayne. Fulk would tell his neighbors about this huge turtle, but no one was interested in listening to Oscar's story. Finally, Oscar just stopped talking about it. By July of 1948, Oscar Fulk's farm was owned by farmer Gale Harris, who owned 120 acres, which included Fulks Lake. That July, Ora Blue and Charlie Wilson were fishing on the lake and spotted something they were not expecting. They would tell Gale Harris that they spotted a giant turtle swimming in his lake. A few days later, Harris and a friend of his were repairing a barn roof when they spotted the giant turtle. Gale Harris's life would never be the same. The farmer wanted to share the giant turtle with the world. Harris would try his best to catch the giant turtle. The turtle would be named Oscar in honor of Oscar Fulk, who was the first person to see him. Oscar would get the nickname the Beast of Busco because of his gigantic size. It was believed that Oscar was an alligator snapping turtle. Also, it was said that he was as big as a dining room table. Harris would say that he believed Oscar might weigh as much as 500 pounds. Word would begin to spread about Oscar. In early 1949, a UPI reporter from Fort Wayne sent the story out on the wire services. Because of this, Oscar is now famous nationwide. Wanting to catch the turtle, Harris would build a net made of a hoop and chicken wire. I'm sure you can guess that unfortunately, Harris was not able to catch Oscar with his homemade net. A newspaper article in the South Bend Tribune tells that by March 12, 1949, the turtle was cornered by trappers in Fulks Lake. Gale Harris had spotted the turtle lying at the bottom of the lake, 15 feet beneath the surface. Once spotted, Harris, with the trappers, planted a ring of stakes around Oscar, and a cage was lowered halfway around it. Harris would say that he was disappointed because the reptile doesn't look as big as was expected. He's a big one, Harris said, but he doesn't look like 500 pounds. Harris would then say that maybe the shrinkage was an optical illusion due to the fact that the turtle was sighted using a homemade spyglass made of a long metal tube with a plate glass at one end. We'll know how big he is when we get him up, Harris would say. 3,000 curiosity seekers jammed the farm, and radio stations appealed to the sightseers to stay away until the turtle was caught. In the middle of March, a diver from Indianapolis had planned on diving down and getting a hold of Oscar and bringing the turtle to shore. This was planned before they found out that Oscar had escaped. Harris believed that Oscar couldn't have gone far. His guess was that the turtle had burrowed a tunnel underneath the stakes where he had been trapped. He's probably close by, but buried in mud where we can't see him, Harris would say. On March 17th, a different diver, Woodrow Rigsby was going to make the dive when he discovered that the pants to his special reinforced diving suit were missing, and another pair was delivered that night. Rigsby went down into the murky water of Fulks Lake on March 18th. He was down about 10 feet when another problem was discovered. His helmet was leaking. Rigsby had only been underwater for about 2 minutes when his assistant saw the bubbles rising to the surface and brought the diver back up. In September of 1949, Harris started to drain Fulks Lake. He was bound and determined to catch Oscar. He wanted to show those who doubted that his lake actually held the Beast of Busco, and he hoped that draining the lake would make the capture of Oscar possible. In the Indianapolis News, in September of 1949, a neighbor of Harris's was quoted as saying, "He just stuck his head up a second and then went under." Was Oscar trying to figure out why his lake had dropped more than 3 feet and the shoreline had changed? Supposedly, as the lake was becoming smaller, Oscar was spotted in the mud and a smaller turtle was behind him. They named the turtle Myrtle the Turtle, and another plan was hatched. They would catch Myrtle the Turtle and use her to lure Oscar out of hiding for love. Apparently, Oscar was not very interested. And when the lake was nearly emptied, Harris's water pump broke down. After that, heavy rains would fill the lake back in. At the time, some of the residents came up with a theory on how Oscar may have ended up in Fulks Lake. Miami War Chief Little Turtle was born in what is believed was 1747 in what may have been in the area that today is Churubuso in Whitley County, Indiana. The theory is that the pet turtle of Chief Little Turtle was placed in the lake in his honor when he died in 1812. The great turtle hunt and unsuccessful capture of the Beast of Busco would cost Gale Harris so much of his own money that in 1950 he had to put his farm up for auction, which included the 7-acre lake, a giant net, and Oscar. The farm was sold to Ralph Longsworth, who said that he had no interest in trying to capture Oscar. He just wanted to farm. After buying the farm, the townspeople started calling him Mr. Turtle, to his annoyance. July 28th and 29th, 1950, were set aside to be Turtle Days in Churubuso, and this made it the first Turtle Days festival celebrating the Beast of Busco. Gale Harris and Oscar were guests of honor. That is, if Oscar would have been caught, which of course he wasn't. There was a turtle queen, and naturally, they had a turtle race. Churubuso still holds the Turtle Days Festival every year, with the turtle queen and turtle races as part of the festivities. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about the Beast of Busco, a giant snapping turtle that was seen and lived in Fulks Lake in Churubuso, and learning why Churubuso, Indiana is called Turtletown, USA. Please be sure to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Be sure to click on the notification bell so that you will be notified when the next Hoosier History, Legend, and Heroes video is uploaded. Until next time.